Hey, what is up, everybody? This is your boy AJTRIP. Welcome to the game according to me. My weekly podcast where I talk about what's going on in the world of sports. Championship Saturday in the college football landscape and week 13 of the National Football League. Should be very interesting. Let's go ahead. Let's jump right into it. So as always, let's start with college football. There were 8 games this past, at least in the top 25. We did have USC and California play, but the 8 title games was Western Kentucky taking on University of Texas at San Antonio. Texas San Antonio won 49-41. Utah on Friday night. That game was on Friday night, and also on Friday night, Utah beat Oregon 38-10 in the Pac-12 championship. Not a Pac-12 championship, they'll be in the Rose Bowl. Then on Saturday, Baylor beat Oklahoma, upsetting them in the Big 12 title game, opening up the door for Notre Dame to make a shot in the playoffs. All they needed was somebody else to lose. They're in the top 3, and you thought you were maybe going to get that with the number 1 team, Georgia, beating Alabama, right? No, not really, because Alabama stepped up, put up the game up, and Georgia pissed down their pants leg. Alabama beat Georgia 41-24. So then you had to go and wait all night until Cincinnati beat Houston 35-20. And then you had to wait to the Big Ten title game. Could Iowa beat Michigan? Hell no. They beat them 42-3. Unreal. Notre Dame get what they needed to get to have the title game, and it just didn't work out. Other action: Appalachian State beat Louisiana. No, they lost to Louisiana, and Pittsburgh beat Wake Forest. Best thing to come out of that game, in the ACC title game, best thing to come out of that game was that Kenny Pickett faked the slide and ran for 58 yards for a touchdown. Wonderful, wonderful. And a lot of people were talking about that was not fair, and it was the dirty pool and everything like that. No, that was wonderful. It was wonderful, wonderful stuff there. Let's go, right? Let's go. Now we look at the let's take a look. Sunday was the rankings. The rankings they put out. They put Alabama at 1, Michigan at 2, Georgia at 3, and Cincinnati at 4. So Georgia would take on Alabama. Georgia would take on Michigan, and Cincinnati would take on Alabama. Setting us up for, again, Georgia to take on Alabama in the national title game, as it was 3 or 4 years ago. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. We get the Army-Navy game coming up this Saturday. This is the only FBS game that will be on, and that's always a special game. Today is also the 80th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. So the Army-Navy game comes on the week of the 40th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. So that is insane. But that's always a wonderful game for them to have. I think the bowls are still kind of relevant, although I think they could be passé. And really, it should be a playoff. It should be either an 18 or a 16-team playoff. It shouldn't be a 12. I have no idea why they're going to go to 12. That to me is absolutely stupid. It's absolutely stupid. So they need to fix that. But let's take a look at really the bowls really quick here. The Bahamas Bowl. They have Toledo versus in the Middle Tennessee, the Cure Bowl, Coastal Carolina and Northern Illinois, Boca Raton Bowl, Appalachian State, Western Kentucky, New Mexico Bowl, Fresno State, UTEP, Independence Bowl, BYU and Alabama Birmingham, Lending Tree Bowl, Eastern Michigan and Liberty, Oregon State and Utah. It just has bowls. Some of them they even get the name on the name of the bowl. It's just bowls. Oregon State and Utah, bowls. Old Dominion and Tulsa, bowls. Miami of Ohio, North Texas. And then another one they actually got the name. The New Orleans Bowl, Marshall, Louisiana, famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Kent State, Wyoming, Miami Beach Bowl, San Diego State and UTSA, Armed Forces Bowl, Army and Missouri, Gasparilla Bowl, UCF and Florida, Hawaii Bowl, Memphis and Hawaii, Camellia Bowl, Ball State and Georgia State, Quick Lane Bowl, Nevada and Western Michigan, Military Bowl, East Carolina and Boston College, Birmingham Bowl, Houston and Auburn, First Responder Bowl, Air Force and Louisville, Liberty Bowl. How come Liberty wasn't in Liberty Bowl? Liberty Bowl, Texas Tech and Mississippi State, Holiday Bowl, NC State, UCLA, Guaranteed Rate Bowl, West Virginia and Minnesota. Here we go. Bowls, SMU and Virginia, Pinstripe Bowl. This is the one that's played at Yankee Stadium. American and Virginia Tech, Cheez-It Bowl, Clemson and Iowa State, Alamo Bowl, Oregon and Oklahoma, Duke Mayo Bowl, UNC and South Carolina. That's interesting. The North Carolina and South Carolina are playing. And I'm actually very surprised they don't have a bigger rivalry than they do. We know that UNC has North Carolina State and Duke, but I am surprised that South Carolina isn't a bigger. It isn't a bigger rival for North Carolina. Like they should play once a year, like at the beginning of the season. So like they kind of like how Iowa and Iowa State do. Although Iowa and Iowa State should really play at the end of the year, but that's another story. But yeah, they should really play at the beginning of the year, North Carolina versus South Carolina, every year. But yeah, so they're playing the Duke's Mayo Bowl, Music City Bowl, Purdue and Tennessee, the Peach Bowl, Michigan State and Pittsburgh, Las Vegas Bowl, Wisconsin and Arizona State, the Gator Bowl, Wake Forest and Texas A&M, the Sun Bowl, Washington State and Miami, Arizona Bowl, Central Michigan and Boise State, and then here we are. We starting out with the New Year's Six Bowls. Cotton Bowl Classic, first game of the playoff, Alabama and Cincinnati. Orange Bowl, Georgia and Michigan. The Outback Bowl, those two bowls are on December 31st. The Outback Bowl, Penn State and Arkansas. The Fiesta Bowl, Notre Dame and Oklahoma State. The Citrus Bowl, Iowa and Kentucky. And the Rose Bowl, Ohio State and Utah. And then we have a couple other bowls, the Sugar Bowl, Baylor and Mississippi, and the Texas Bowl, on January 4th, Kansas State and LSU. And see, I gotta be honest with you guys, I hate that. I really do. I hate that. There is no reason for there to be any bowls after January 1st. It really isn't. January 1st, or sometimes maybe January 2nd, if you're gonna move away from the NFL, which they might do next year, because next year January 1st will be on a Sunday. January 1st will be on a Sunday. So either the NFL will move to December 31st, or the college football will move their games to December 31st, or January 2nd, which would be that Monday. And most people will have that day off because they will be observing the holiday. So even if you don't have vacation that day, but yeah, there should be no reason that there should be another bowl. The Texas Bowl should be back up, like in the like on December 30th or December 29th or something. So I don't necessarily get that. But yeah, those are the bowls, and then of course the championship game will be January 10th. Monday, January 10th, the winner of the Cotton Bowl Classic between Alabama and Cincinnati, and the Orange Bowl between Michigan and Georgia. They will play on January 10th for the national championship. So should be fun. Should be fun. A lot of great bowls here, and again, this is one of the good times of the season as one of the bad, because football is coming down to its conclusion. We are now in the thing where we are getting football games for almost several days straight. You know, we've got football. As I look on here, the 20th, the 21st, the 22nd, the 23rd, the 24th, the 25th, the 26th, the 27th, the 28th, the 29th, the 30th, 31st, and the 1st. So, you know, in a span of, 12 days or so, we're going to have football on every day but one, and that's December 26th, and that's because that's on Sunday when the NFL be playing. So, but otherwise, it's one of those great times. So, should be fun. Cannot wait. We'll see what happens with the playoffs. Who will be the national champion? It's great to find out. And now for the NFL. Go back to last Thursday. The Cowboys beat the Saints 27-17. Good victory for the Cowboys. Taysom Hill was the starter for the Saints. Had one of those days, unfortunately, threw 4 interceptions. Cowboys got the job done 27-17. Then to Sunday's action, Coach shut out the Texans 31-0. Did what they're supposed to do. Coach is still in it. The Lions got their first victory. Yes, beat the Vikings 29-27. Game ball went to the folks in Oxford, Michigan, who was unfortunately had to deal with a tragedy last week with the school shooting and the killing of 4 students. So it's unfortunate. And so thoughts go out to those in Oxford, Michigan, still grieving, still wondering why does this happen and everything like that. It's still unfortunate that in 2021 this stuff is still happening. Dolphins beat the Giants 20-9. The Buccaneers beat the Falcons 30-17. The Eagles beat the Jets 33-18. Jalen Hurts was injured. Gardner Minshew came in, had a perfect passer rating, and did the job for the Eagles. Cardinals beat the Bears 33-22. Andy Dalton, also another one of those games, 4 interceptions for him. We'll see what happens next. Justin Fields is healthy enough. They're going to play the Packers on Sunday Night Football. Should be interesting. Chargers beat the Bengals 41-22. This is what the Bengals do. They come off and they have a great victory, a big time victory. They blew out the Steelers. Was it last week? Yeah, blew out the Steelers last week 41-10, and then come out and then get blown out by the Chargers 41-22. Unreal. This is something that the Bengals are going to have to fix. Find a way to fix. Rams get back on track. They blew out the Jaguars 37-7. Raiders lost to the football team 17-15. The football team is on a hot streak. Tyler Henneke doing what he needs to do to get the victories. Steelers beat the Ravens 20-19. Ravens went for 2. Just couldn't. At the end, they tired because they were out of defensive backs. It did not fall. And again, I continue to tell you this: Lamar Jackson is not deserving of anything near close to what Josh Allen got. So, and he continues to prove it each and every week. The Ravens would be stupid to give him that much money. The Seahawks beat the 49ers 30-23. Once again, the 49ers, after a good victory last week, just can't keep it up. Like the 49ers and Bengals are the same damn team. They win one week and they lose the next week. It's just it's not willing to get it done. The Chiefs beat the Broncos 22-9 on Sunday Night Football. Very interesting game. The Broncos had a 20-play, 11-minute drive that ended in no points. I don't know how that happens, but it does. And apparently, it was the fifth drive of something like that in 20 years. It's happened 5 times in 20 years. A 20-play, 11-minute drive with no points. How does that happen? And last night in the winter monsoon game, the Patriots and the Bills in Buffalo, Patriots beat the Bills 14-10. The Patriots ran the ball 46 times, threw it 3 times. Oh Lord! And you watched the pregame show, you saw Susie Colbert and Adam Schefter were being blown off their chairs. it was so windy, and at one point it was snowing. It's great stuff. Love those games. If you don't love those games, you don't love football. And that's how I said it. You don't love football. We don't love those games. Really great. Wonderful. Looking ahead, Thursday night we get the Steelers and the Vikings. Steelers have a couple the Vikings have some injury issues. Cook and Adam Thielen may not be practicing this week. So we'll see what happens with them. If they, it's probably good for them because it's probably good for them. They have a short week, so that they can, they can get over the fact that they gave the Lions their first win. So that. Look ahead to Sunday. The Saints are at the Jets. Saints will need to get back on track here. Jets are the perfect team for them. The Falcons and the Panthers. Seahawks and Texans, Raiders and Chiefs. A couple weeks ago on Sunday Night Football, the Chiefs blew out the Raiders. Let's see if they can do it again. We thought then that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense was back in the saddle. Since then they still have not been the offense that we've known them to be the last couple years. So maybe they'll have another one of those games. Ravens and Browns. Browns had a bye, but a couple weeks ago, Ravens and Browns, they won Sunday Night Football. Cowboys at the football team, that should be very interesting. Football team on the street, the Cowboys in the lead of that division. See how that goes. Jaguars and the Titans. Titans really need this to help them out. We need to get them back on track as well. The Giants and the Chargers, this should be, Daniel Jones is out with an injury. Mike Lennon, he got injured in that game with the Dolphins as well. So who knows who's going to be the starter quarterback for that team? Chargers is another thing. This is what the Chargers need to do now. They need to take control, and get on the Giants and get back in this AFC playoff picture. The Lions and the Broncos. Can the Lions continue? Can they go on the road and get a second win in a row? Or will the Broncos come back and have another 20-play drive? This time scoring touchdowns. We'll see about that. 49ers and the Bengals. Hey, look at that. I just talked about it in my recap of this past week. 49ers and Bengals on the same team. And guess what? They're playing each other now. 49ers and the Bengals. Very interesting. Love that. Bills and the Buccaneers. Boy, this is another thing. After a loss, you can't have another loss in a row for the Bills. But then the Buccaneers, they had 2 losses in a row, and then they come back. So can you really? The Buccaneers lose 3 out of 4. This is a dire game. It's more dire for Buffalo, because right now with that loss to the Patriots, they are the 7th seed in the AFC. So you can't lose. You can't lose against the Buccaneers and then fall out of the playoffs. Especially after last year, you made it to the championship game. But the Buccaneers also as well. You can't. The Cowboys could win against the football team. And if you lose against Buffalo, the Cowboys could jump you, I believe, in the rankings. Even though I'm not sure exactly if they're the same record. Actually, I don't think they can. I think the Buccaneers are like 9-3. The Cowboys are 8-4. So if the Cowboys would win and the Buccaneers would lose, they both would be 9-4. But the Buccaneers beat the Cowboys, so they still would be ahead of them in the playoff ranking. But still, you don't want to lose 3 out of your last 4 games. So that's going to be a very interesting game to watch. Can love that. I mentioned earlier the Bears and Packers on Sunday Night Football, oldest rivalry in the league. Bears and Packers, but my Bears are just and the Packers are on a roll. Maybe I don't know. Maybe something happened. Maybe the Bears will continue and keep it close. And on Monday Night Football, the Rams at the Cardinals. Yeah, the Rams the Cardinals beat the Rams early in the year. Rams need to get their win back and try to get closer to the Cardinals because listen, the number one seed is still up for grabs. The Rams can beat the Cardinals, and then they can end up being the number one seed in the NFC. So all good stuff there going down in week 14 of the National Football League. Should be very, very interesting and very, very fun. I believe this is the last week for buys. Yeah, I believe this is the last week for buys. We didn't talk about New England and probably a couple other things. So this is the last week for buys as well. Week 14 coming up. So then after that, week 15 and on, all teams are going to play. So let's go ahead and let's get it done. All right, y'all. This is going to be it for this week's edition. And again, according to me, we'll be back next week. We'll take a look again at the NBA, what's going on there in the standings, and look how teams are running. A couple long streaks ended from the Suns and the Warriors. Yeah, take a look at that. Take a look at maybe some of the leaders and see in the league and see what they're doing as well. Of course, we'll talk about the college football, not the college football, but we'll take a look at the week at the NFL. Take a look at that, and we'll see what other things we can come up with. Maybe we could have tend to talk about. Baseball is in a lockout, so there's no signings or anything like that to talk about. So we'll find some other things to talk about. Yes, we sure will. Maybe. But we're definitely going to talk about the NBA and definitely going to talk about the National Football League. So you're going to want to be here for that. And also we'll talk about Army and Navy as well. Okay, guys. Make sure you go to patron.com/AJTRIP20 to become a patron. Once you hit a certain amount of patrons, you will be able to determine what you will see on my YouTube channel, what you would hear on my podcast, debuting next year on January 10th. And of course, my Twitch channel is still not happening. It's not going, so you can do nothing on the Twitch channel. At least not yet. But yeah, we got some things going on, and please join a Patreon. Or go to anchor.fm/AJTRIP show, and you can support me there. Another way to support me, 99 cents a month, $4.99 a month, or $9.99 a month. Or the last way to support me, if you feel you need to, is to just share my podcast, review it, give me 5 stars, wherever platform you're listening on, and if you're listening to it, just do it there. Yeah, just help me out, help a brother out that way. I would really appreciate any and all support that you give your boy. Alright, that's going to be it for this at this time. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is your boy, AJTRIP, signing off. As always, be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I am out.